Hello and welcome back. I'm here in the 2025 Jayco Pinnacle 38FBRK. I'm doing a kind of 1 year overview of the RV and things I like about it, things that I don't like. I did have an old video on a 6-month update of issues that I had with the RV and or things that I really liked about the RV. So this is a follow-up video to that video. So two things are true if you're watching this. One, you either are in the market for a Jayco Pinnacle, or two, you already have one and you're just watching a bunch of content on it. I'm all for that. You could imagine how many videos of this exact RV I've watched prior to getting this RV. Or you just have a pretty cool suggested video timeline there. And in that case, congratulations, you stumbled across some pretty cool content. Pat on the back. So this video, I'm just going to jump around the RV pretty quick, show you some of the things that were either issues with the RV, things I like about the RV, and then some suggestions on what I think would be a really good thing for you to check, either disable, enable, things you should use, water sensors. There's a whole bunch of things, but I'm going to try to make this video pretty short. If there's anything you want to see in more detail for this Jayco Pinnacle, just drop it in the comment section, and I'm more than happy to do a more thorough breakdown of some of these things. This is kind of just to give you an idea, a quick overview. So without further ado, let's jump around and get to it. Okay, so you may be wondering, why am I in the kitchen by the dishwasher? The number one issue that I see in a lot of the Facebook groups for the specific RV, and even an issue that I experienced, this dishwasher not draining properly or having some type of issues. Worry not. I think when you get this RV, this should be one of the first few things you do, of course, besides like a thorough inspection. But before you actually start using this, this is really easy to pull out of here. There's just 2 screws. You just open up the dishwasher, 2 screws on the side. Then you can pull the entire dishwasher out. You just pull that out and just look to make sure the drain hose isn't kinked. I guess when they manufacture these, a lot of the times the drain hose kinks and then it can't actually drain the water out, and then your dishwasher's not working and you're left wondering, like, what the hell? So there's that. And then also you do have all your fittings and stuff. So when you are back there, if you do pull this out, which I highly recommend you do, just take a look at everything, just make sure all your fittings are tight. You can either hand tight, make sure everything's all good, tighten it up if it is, and then I would suggest some water sensors. I'll show you that in a little bit. I use Yolink water sensors. Be a good time to put some down there in case you do have the unfortunate event of getting a leak. You'll be able to detect that and have an idea before it completely floods the whole bottom of your countertop, underneath the dishwasher, all that. Water is the number one killer for RVs, so it's good to be alert, be aware, and be proactive about it. So there's number one. Number 2 would be a suggestion of something I would say you should disable pretty quick when you first come into here. You do have the Jayco voice command, which is like a big selling feature. If you go to the dealership or you're doing your walkthrough, they're like, oh, you can control the RV with your voice. Sounds fantastic in theory. Use case, at least with this system, not so great. This does have access to turn off and on your furnace, turn on and off your air conditioners, turn on and off the lights, dim the lights. So if it worked perfectly, fantastic, I would love it. But this thing is overly sensitive. You'll be in this RV for 5 minutes and probably say something that this thing picks up thinking you said Jayco when you never said Jayco. Then it's listening for some obscenely amount of time for you to say something that sounds like a command, and then you'll hear the dreaded beep, and then if the lights don't turn on and off, you have to sit there and go, uh-oh, did it turn on my furnace? Did it turn off an air conditioner? What's going on? So, wild. So, while great in theory, highly recommend you just unplug it, especially if you're watching TV in here. Watching TV for just a few minutes, you'll get this thing listening like the wake word, even though clearly nobody's saying the word Jayco while I'm watching a TV show most of the time. We'll just go off, and then a lot of time I have to pause the TV because I just don't want to have to go through the hassle of figuring out what it decided it wanted to do. So, sounds great, not fantastic. Disabling, it's easy. You just twist this right off, pull it down a little bit, and there'll just be one cable plug. Just unplug that. It's not going to affect anything else in the RV. You're just going to lose access to be able to do the voice command by saying, like, Jayco, special mode 1. Those kind of things. So, it's not going to be the end of the world. Trust me. You're going to enjoy it disabled rather than having it enabled and it messing up all the time, because it's frustrating. Boom. the great outdoors. Number 3 is going to take us right outside behind the refrigerator. So this access door behind, the fridge. So I do see a lot of people talk about this in the Facebook groups. They're like, oh, my fridge isn't working or something like that. I think it's always good to come back here and take a quick look. You can see some of your lines and stuff, and I highly recommend getting yourself like a water sensor. You can kind of keep it back here if you have any leaks back here, if any of the water that is going into the RV, you have access to a lot of things back here. So it's a pretty convenient port to have. This is more just a suggestion with putting the water sensor and being able to take a quick look. Yeah, clearly I got to clean this off a little bit. It is a little dusty. I'll put it on the Z list. Thanks for the reminder. Yeah, so you do have access to everything out here. Put yourself a sensor back here. If there is any water leakage that you can't see from inside the RV and it is happening to come out like this, your water sensor is going to catch it early before it becomes a big problem. The main plumbing that's coming into the RV. So when I got this RV, no real immediate issues, but just keep in mind, every time you move an RV, it's like a mini earthquake. Every time you're going down the road, everything's moving. So it's always a good idea when you first get into your RV, you're parked where you want to go. I would definitely take a second. You can take off this side access panel. As you see, I leave it loose, so if I needed to get behind there real quick for any reason, I have access. I mean, yeah, I got a little container, but it's gone. But yeah, just leave this open. You can go right behind there. There's a whole manifold with all the connections and all the tubes, hoses, and everything that's going everywhere we need to go. So go back there, take a few minutes, make sure everything's tight. It'd also be a good idea to put one of those water sensors I was talking about earlier. I think I have 2 back there. So I have one near the pump that's back there. So if you weren't connected to city water, if your pump was activating and it was leaking by the pump, either the in or the out, water sensor would find it. And then also I have one kind of right in a central point where if any leak was happening by that manifold back there, that water sensor would catch it. So I got 2 back there. Overkill, I don't know, I'd rather have 2 back there and catch some water leak than have a bunch of water damage. So that would be, what is this, we're at number 3 now? And then also, I have another video. If you haven't seen it yet, I have one of these Yo-Link automatic motorized valves for the inline for water. Absolutely fantastic. The sensors that I keep talking about like crazy. If they detect a water leak, they communicate with this motorized valve, and it will actually manually, I guess automatically, it's not manually, but automatically shut the water off to your RV. So if it's catching a leak, you might have that residual water that's in your lines while it drips out and leaks, but you're done. Water's off to the RV. Peace of mind, especially if you're not home and you happen to spring a leak. So definitely recommend a motorized valve like that. Might cost you just a smidge bit, but this is a big asset. You just don't want to leak, so do that. So in summary of this, check your connections in the manifold, tighten everything up, make sure you have clear access to this behind the manifold. So just maybe leave one screw in here or just leave it loose and set something against it so you have quick access, because a lot of your components, your electronics are also in there, so you just want to make sure you can get in there quick in case you do have an emergency. And while I'm in here, I did want to say that this model does come with the Nuvo H2O water filtration system and water softener. Fantastic. I think it's a pretty cool contraption. I just want to say too that this is also another leak point. You can either leak out of the in, the out, or it could technically leak from any of the filter housings. So I just want to say that this would also be something where if you did spring a leak here, this is in your under bay. So if you didn't have any sensors down here or anything like that and you spring a leak, you might not notice it for a while, and in the meantime you'd be flooding everything that you have in here. So I just came up with a little contraption here. I simply screwed in a little plastic bucket that just goes long enough or just wide enough to cover this if this was dripping on each side. It kind of overhangs, and then also if there's any leaks on the side of these, it falls into the bucket, and as you see, the trusty water sensor. So this just has an angle down, so any leakage will come right down to the bottom. So as soon as this detects any water, it's going to use that motorized valve and shut water off to the RV, you know, saving me in the event of a leak. So highly recommend some kind of contraption like this. It's not the best looking, right? But you do have space underneath it. I was just like storing a carry-on case just sideways, so it was help supporting it. And that way I actually had space underneath it. So it wasn't a complete waste. Because all of the water that is in the RV or goes into the RV comes through that hose, through that filtration system, and then into the RV. So this is technically a leak spot that isn't in your wet bay. So definitely recommend doing something right here. So something I did want to talk about really quick that was in one of my videos. I did have an awning issue, I think like a few months into it, which was completely random. It wasn't like an awning issue, anything that I did. It was just, call it like a defect. But the actual pin that this awning arm goes into just completely sheared. No wind, no water weight, just sitting there on a nice idle day. I hear boom, and then whole awning just comes down on this side. So that was a pain. It'll cost you a little bit to fix if you can do it yourself, but that is just something I want to mention. I have heard of a few other people with the problem, so I don't know if it was just a fluke, me having that issue, or if it is just an issue with these awning arms / awning reels. So just keep that in mind. That was it. Again, it's nothing major. I guess anything on a brand new RV would be major, but I don't have my hopes the highest when it comes to, you know, fifth wheel campers. Just the nature of what they are. Usually if you're getting one of these, you want to have a little bit of know-how and you want to be a very proactive person so you don't have any issues. So just thought I'd mention it quick. And since we don't want this to be all bad stuff, a honorable mention for one of my favorite things about the Jayco Pinnacle, even though it's probably not explicit to the Jayco Pinnacle, but this fan puts out some air. If you've ever been in a lot of other RVs, the fans are just garbage. They just don't put out any air. You're like, what's the point of even having the fan on? This one, this is low. This is putting out some air. So I know my dad always comes in here because he full-times too, and then he's like always fascinated by this fan. So he's always like, you gotta get me this fan, you know, like we need this fan in our RV. And I'm just like, yeah, it's pretty good. So one of the favorite things. So I don't even know what number it is anymore, so just bear with me. A big thing that people always ask, they're just like, are my awning lights broken here? Like when I turn on the outside lights, only one of the awning lights is on, the other one doesn't turn on, even though it says that the awning lights are on. Guess what, guys? I got the fix for you. I've probably helped a dozen people on Facebook with the same thing, but I just do want to mention because some people think it's a problem with the awning lights. It's not really an issue with the awning lights. It's just a weird system, I guess. But when you get the RV, you do have the remote control for the awning lights. You can work each awning light individually, so to speak. So I'll give you a closer zoom just to kind of explain what I'm talking about. So the problem a lot of people have, just for some context, is they turn on their outside lights here. You'll have your awning 1 and step and awning 2. So they'll have both of those on, but when they go outside, only awning 1 is on, even though it says there's power to awning 2. So I'll get you closer and then explain, just so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Okay, so hopefully you can see this a little bit better. But I have awning 1 and step, and I have awning 2. Right now you see they're both off. If I were to click the lights, both of my awning lights would be on. But in the situation where you have both of these lights on and then one of your lights is off, just find the light that is on and then just shut that one off. And then go outside with your remote for the one that's off, meaning the one you don't see but has power to right now, and then just turn on the light. And then once you do that, if you come back inside and turn on your awning 1 and step, both of your lights will be on. So since this controller can kind of control both, if you did leave both of these lights on and you're like, why is my awning 2 out? And then you go out there and you press the button, it's just going to shut off all your lights. And you're going to, well, it wouldn't even shut off all your lights. It would just kind of invert itself. So I just wanted to mention that because a lot of people have that issue. It did take me a little bit of figuring it out because the same thing happened to me. I'm like, why is only one light on? They're both powered. Well, now you know, they can kind of function separately. So this is just allowing power to go to each awning individually, and this light would kind of control them. So just something I wanted to mention. Might save you a little bit of hassle, or you might be able to pay it forward to somebody who's having the same issue. And into the bathroom, this is kind of the one last thing that crossed my mind. Very shortly into having this outline light that is behind the mirror had an issue. So only half of my lights were actually working because there was a split in the light, which prevented it from continuing the power all the way through. Pretty easy fix. You could just go on Amazon, find yourself the lights you need, the size, the color that you prefer. And then you can just take off this mirror, and when it comes off, it's on a lip, so you can just stick your new lights to it and then have it just plug right in. It's very simple, not a hard fix. irritating that I had to do it in the first place, but whatever. You do have right here, you just pull these little plugs out. There'll be 4 total. So you pull those 4 plugs out of there, unscrew it. Just get some help so you don't drop the mirror. And then you can unplug it, pull the mirror off, put the new lights on there. You're as good as new. And one thing I love about this RV is the closet space. I mean, you have so much. I do want to mention, guys, I can probably put the link up there, but these baskets are like perfect fit for these cubbies, so you can actually pull these out and still have access to get in there instead of just empty spaces, which I think is cool. And also, if you're not putting a washer and dryer in here, I mean, get yourself a vacuum that you can mount in here, because you do have access for the plugs, which I think is really cool. What I'm trying to do right now is I want to put a nice shelf in here and put a nice 3D printer in here as like a little side hobby, because I enjoy 3D printing, and I would much rather 3D print than have a washer and dryer in here that I'm only going to use like once every 2 weeks. So yeah, if you're interested in those cubes or something like that, let me know. I can always put the link in there. So I'm just going to end the video right here. I think I pointed out maybe like 4 or 5 different things. I can do a more detailed breakdown if any of you guys are interested. I'm just trying to give you a sample of some of the things that I found. But my overall breakdown, being full-timing in this RV for about a year, I'm just going to give it 2 thumbs up. A little bit of plumbing issues, while I don't want to have to take care of, and I don't think that's necessarily acceptable for a new unit, especially when you're paying upwards of $100,000 for an RV. It's kind of the nature, like I kind of expect there to be a few things wrong. Like a lot of the times I'm just like, take the look the best you can, give it an inspection. But as I said, every time this thing moves, it's a mini earthquake. Stuff's bound to get loose or have some issues. So just make sure you're aware of that if you're in the market for it. But a few plumbing issues. The awning one was a little bit of a nuisance, but again, it can be done if you're kind of handy. You have access to YouTube, you're here, so I'm sure there's a video on people doing all of these types of changes and fixes. So a little bit of elbow grease, a few dollars, trip to your local hardware store, you could probably get a lot of this stuff fixed. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I want to mention. I think that is about it. I've done quite a few cosmetic changes to the RV, just to kind of give it more personalized touch. I do work full-time remote, so I did get rid of the actually, I'll just turn it around. I'll show you. I did get rid of the whole desk that they called the desk there, so I could put a desk, like my own desk, that the actual monitor could mount to. The desk can stand or not, and then it gives me a little space for my actual desktop. So just like few things like that to give it that personalized touch. And you can do it however you want to do it to set it up that's good for you. I know a lot of people either love this couch or they don't love the couch, or they want to change the recliners. There's a bunch you can do. But if you wanted a more detailed like tour video, now that I've had this RV for a whole year, you might be able to get yourself some ideas of things that you might want to immediately change when you first move into here. Another one that I want to just show, because I'm just seeing it as I'm recording it. When they put this here, they didn't put any corner shelves in here at all. It was just an empty space. And I was like, what a waste of space when you could put some shelves. So $15 shelves from Home Depot, and you got yourself a little extra space. It's not in the way when you transport, and it just adds a nice little decoration. With the thing with RVs, you want them to feel like home. You're in these things all the time. So, sorry I talk so much. So if you like this video, please hit the thumbs up button. I'd appreciate it. If you have any questions or comments or anything at all, drop them down below. I get to all of them. I love engaging with you guys, answering any questions, just making a little community here. That's the whole point of James Unveiled. It's kind of like James behind the curtain. So feel free to ask anything you want within reason. Yeah, you're not getting any personal details. And then if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button. I'd greatly appreciate it. On this channel, you're going to see just a little bit of everything. I guess I've kind of changed it now to a lifestyle video. So while I do full-time lifestyle channel, while I do full-time in the RV, you'll get a lot of those videos. But I got the motorcycle now, so I'm doing that. I have a 3D printer in the works. You're going to get more of that. So just all different types of videos, EDC. You come to my channel, you don't know what you're going to get, but that's... variety's the spice of life, what can I say? So, thank you so much, and until next time, have a good rest of your day.